Hello, my name is Chloe, welcome to my channel. Today I'm bringing to you my December wrap-up. So, apologies about the probably crappy lighting and the bit of a dumped location. I found myself with some unexpected filming time this evening and thought it would be a great time to film my December wrap-up. So, it's been a little bit of time now since December. Well, not too long, but a little bit of time. And I found myself already not particularly caring about 2023. Let's just crack on with 2024. Saying that, I did read 20 books in December and I should tell you a little bit about all of them. To give you a little tracker of my physical TBR, because it was going down. It's gone straight back up, but that's fine. So my TBR started on the 1st of December at 424 books. I read 13 books off my TBR, but I hauled 25. So I've ended up with a TBR of 436 books. It's fine. It's fine. So the books I actually read in December, as I said, I read 20. The pages I read were 5,120, which is actually an 11.5% decrease on November. So although I read more books, they definitely had less pages. I read 10 physical books, 5 audiobooks, 1 graphic novel, and 4 ebooks. The average pages I read per day was 165, which was down 14% on November. And the average number of pages per book was 256, which is down 27% on November. The ratings were spread like so. I had 3 books that I didn't rate, 1 1 star, 2 2 stars, 2 2.5 stars, 5 3 stars, 1 3.5 star, 5 4 stars, and 1 5 star. Starting off with the books I didn't rate, the first one is Ripley's Believe It or Not, the 2024 annual. This is actually really heavy to hold, so I won't be holding it for too long, but this I was gifted by the publisher and it was really fun. But I just don't feel like this is a book I can give a numbered rating. Also, by the time I read it, there were only like 4 reviews on Goodreads and they were all 5 stars. So anything I would have given below 5 stars, because this isn't the perfect, most exciting thing ever, would have looked like a negative rating. But I didn't not enjoy it. So if you've never heard of these books, it's just a collection of loads of weird and wacky little facts. Like here is a whole page on a goat with long ears. They're really fun. I used to get them all the time as a kid. I'm so glad I got to read this one. I'm glad I did actually read it, but yeah, I wasn't going to give it a numbered rating in terms of the books I read this year. Next up, we have School DXD Volume 1, and I read this one because we were getting very close to the end of the year. I was at Cole's house, as you guys might know, and he has a couple of mangas and light novels, and a manga that he had that I didn't know the story of already was School DXD, so I read the first manga. Interesting. Will not be continuing. Glad I gave it a go. If you've watched the anime, you might know the level of filth this goes to. I was not really a fan, but you know what? Manga's not my thing, anime's not my thing, so I'm not going to give it a rating. And then finally we have This Winter by Alice Oseman. This is a little Christmas novella in the Nick and Charlie series. With everyone reading Heartstopper Volume 5, I really wanted some Nick and Charlie content, but the only thing I had available to me was This Winter. I didn't know this book existed, so it was a really nice treat as an audiobook. It's only about 100 pages. I didn't give it a rating because I didn't dislike it, but I didn't love it. And the reason I didn't love it is because it was a novella. There wasn't really any development to the story over what we already know. So I've kind of just let it be. I read it, but yeah, it's not that I would not recommend it, but it's also not that I'm saying you have to read this for the Nick and Charlie content. Like, it's a great little add-on. I liked the issues it dealt with. I liked getting Charlie's younger brother's point of view as well. That was really fun. But yeah, nothing mind-blowing. The 1-star book I read in December was The Never King by Nikki St. Crow. I won't dwell on this for very long. This is a dirty, smutty retelling of Peter Pan and Wendy and... I actually can't tell you what I listened to. So I listened to the audiobook and I think I genuinely tuned out because I just couldn't deal with it anymore. It is Wendy and all of the women in the Darling family. When they turn 18, they get abducted to go to Neverland and try to save Pan's shadow. And then the men, what they called the Lost Boys, aren't allowed to sleep with her. Really really odd, really odd. 2-star books. The first one is the last book I read this year, and that is It Waits in the Woods by Josh Malerman. This was a little horror novella. I read a few of these at the end of the year, and this one just didn't really do anything for me. This was about a creature in the woods. It would appear next to a bridge, and the bridge would change position. Our main character's older sister, slightly younger sister, our main character's sister gets lost in the woods a couple years back, and then as the sister gets older, she decides she's gonna go in, she's gonna find her, and lo and behold, she finds the bridge. But yeah, it just wasn't great. Then we have Out Behind the Barn. This one was a weird one. I'm really glad I read it. It feels like ages ago that I did. I think it was the first week of December, but it just didn't really do anything for me. This is a horror novella, and we're following 2 young boys see the woman that looks after them bringing home another body. They kind of live in this reclusive, isolated farm, and yeah, different people turn up and then they go missing. It was okay. I didn't really like the ending, and I wanted more of an explanation as to what was happening. It was explained, but not to the level I wanted it to be. Next up, would you look at that, the first one I can hold, 2.5 stars, goes to The Book of Living Secrets by Madeline Rue. This is a YA fantasy book that I've had for the longest time. It's an ARC that came out in 2022. Finally read it, just apologies everywhere for that one. But this is about 2 young girls, 2 teenage girls, who are transported into the world of their favourite book, but nothing is quite what it seems. My problem with this one is that just everything felt very vague. Like, we were in this world and there were events being described, but I just couldn't grasp it. And I don't know whether that's me and my attention span, whether I should have just DNF'd it at the start when I couldn't quite grasp what was happening. But yeah, by the end, I'd started to care about a few of the relationships, which is why this isn't an awful rating, but I just had no idea what was happening and was completely lost. And next up, we have Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey. Thank you again to Marlene for getting me this as a gift, but no one's seen that in the haul yet. But anyway, this was a gift from Marlene. Thank you so much, Marlene. And unfortunately, it is Tessa Bailey's worst book so far, as everyone says. This is about Melody and Beat, and their mothers were in like a rock duo band. But they split up X number of years ago, and the public are demanding for a reunion, so Melody and Beat get involved in a plan to bring them back together. It wasn't awful, don't get me wrong, and I did care about the relationships in the end, but number one, this wasn't really a Christmas book, even though that's how it's marketed. I understand it was marketed like that just before Christmas to sell books at Christmas, but apart from the potential reunion happening on Christmas Eve, there's nothing very Christmassy, and I feel like the book got to the best bit and then didn't tell us about it. But I didn't hate it, so 2.5. Next up, we have 2 more of the short novellas. The first one is The Pram by Jo Hill. This one was potentially the weirdest one I read, but I did give it 3 stars. This is about a young couple who move into an old farmhouse. They go to, or the guy goes to the grocery store, and he's got shopping to bring back, but he doesn't have enough hands and strength. So the owner of the shop offers him an old pram to push home the groceries. And that's pretty much where it starts. It gets very weird. This one's on like Prime Reading or whatever it is. If you see this, I genuinely would just give it a go. It takes like an hour out of your life, and it's incredibly weird. And I can't stop thinking about it, even though I didn't love it. So yeah, I guess it was good. And on that same vein, we have Ankle Snatcher by Grady Hendrix. Do not read this one if you are like me and still get very scared at night. So this one, again, 3 stars. This is about a boy, or a man. When he was a boy, his father killed his mother and blamed it on the ankle snatcher that lives under the bed. Obviously, the boy, as he turns into a man, believes this is absolute nonsense. But he does always get out of bed and turn the light on as he does, so that he doesn't get out of bed completely in the dark. Because if he does get out of bed completely in the dark, the ankle snatcher will attack. And oh my god, I didn't think this bothered me. I was like, oh, it was okay, it didn't really do much for me. And then I got out of bed at Cole's house without a light, got back in bed, and Cole, not knowing what I'd read, asked me why I did it without turning a light on, and I was not okay. So yeah, 3 stars. Again, it's in the Prime Reading creature feature or something. Really odd. glad I've read it. Next up, yay, another one I can hold, is The Dragon's Bride by Katie Robert. I did think I was going to hold on to this one, but there is no way I need to keep it. This is so funny. This was sent to me by Ali a while ago, and I just think it's hilarious. So this is about Briar, and she becomes betrothed to a dragon in a deal she makes with a demon. Obviously, she's not really attracted to this dragon until she is attracted to this dragon, and I think that really tells you everything. It goes exactly where you think it's going to go. For a romance book, it's probably a 1 star. For a dragon story, it's probably a 1 star. For a dragon romance, we'll give it a 3. It was fine. I just said it was fine. That's my first it was fine of the year, guys. That was a good one. There are tags at the front of this book, and one of them is I only watch Once Upon a Time for the Scaly Lizard Man, and maybe that got a whole star from me just for that. We like the Scaly Lizard Man. Next up, we have the Chloe's Crime Scene Corner read for the month, which was 1 by 1 by Ruth Ware. I didn't hate this book, but I didn't exactly love it. This is a very slow starting thriller mystery. This is about a company that are kind of like a location-based Spotify. Like, I don't know how to explain it. And they go on a retreat because an important decision needs to be made, and our main character may or may not be able to change the future of the company and potentially millions of pounds being given to different individuals. 1 by 1, as it suggests, members of the party are disappearing or dying, and we have to work out who's getting rid of them, why they're getting rid of them, and yeah, it does turn a bit more thrillery in the end rather than mystery. It starts off very slow. I think I was only interested from my like accountant side of things on how they were going to move forward with the business or dissolve the business, which is a sad thing to admit, but I did kind of vibe with that. But yeah, very slow. It would have to be much more fast-paced to get higher rating. I don't want to speed up too much, but we're already at 15 minutes and I need to talk about the last 5-star, which was 5-star, 3-star, which was chosen by PC and Kristen Cast. This is the 3rd book in the House of Night series, and it's probably my least favourite so far if I had to rank them. This was actually a birthday gift from Lisa last year. Thank you, Lisa. But yeah, I'm reading the whole House of Night series for the nostalgia, and I really am enjoying it, but if I have to give them numbered ratings on how I would rate them nowadays, it's a 3-star. The House of Night is a school for fledgling vampires, and we follow Zoe Redbird, who is just a normal girl until she is turned into a fledgling and she's given lots of different abilities by the goddess Nyx. I can't tell you too much about what happens in this one without spoiling the first 2, but there are some very traumatic events in this. There is also a very sexual and inappropriate event that happens in this, and I see why I loved them as a teenager, because this would have been scandalous. I'm really excited to carry on reading the series. But yeah, in terms of as if this was newly published fantasy today, I think most people would agree it's a 3-star. 3.5 stars goes to Murder in the Family by Cara Hunter. This was a very interestingly formatted book. It was about a TV show, and the episodes are released and we see the kind of TV script for the show. The show itself is using lots of different people to solve an old murder case. I did enjoy it. I think the format was interesting. I didn't love, though, that I guessed 99% of the story within the first 20 pages of the book. So not ideal. A lot of the twists and turns were completely random, and there was no way you could have had any idea what was going to be suggested, so I wasn't a massive fan of that. But overall, the format won it some points. I would read more Cara Hunter in the future, but it just wasn't the best thing I've ever read. Nearly done now, and we pretty much have all of my Christmas books to go. So the first 4-star I had was The Holiday Swap by Maggie Knox. I actually enjoyed this book so much that I went and got myself a Book of the Month edition because I just think it was so cute. This is a very Hallmark movie. We're following 2 twins, one of which is a chef and judge on a cooking/baking show. The other works in her family's bakery. The one that's a judge has an incident at work, which means she actually loses her sense of taste. So she decides to swap positions with her twin and let the twin carry on working because there's a very important job opportunity coming up, and she will go back to her hometown. The problem is they don't really tell everyone in their lives that they're doing this, so some romantic ties are crossed and I just think it's really good. Not the best thing ever, but just such a cute romance that I can see myself digging back into this year on year, and I'm excited to do it. Next up we have It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover, which is the sequel to It Ends With Us. I did really like this one. I read it on ebook actually, even though I have the copy. I just really wanted to read it while I was away. It Ends With Us is one of my favourite books of all time, but It Starts With Us just didn't quite hit the same mark. It covered a lot of the same issues as It Ends With Us, so if there is anything in that that made you not want to read it, I definitely wouldn't suggest It Starts With Us. But it wasn't bad by any means. It was very easy to read. I demolished it, like I literally ate it up, but there just wasn't anything new and groundbreaking that meant I could give it 5 stars, if that makes sense. We then have In 5 Years by Rebecca Searle, and I'm kind of sad I don't have a copy of this book now. So I did have one, I took it over to the States, but I gave it to the mother-in-law, and when I decided I kind of wanted to keep it, like I'd already handed it over, so I couldn't take it back. This is kind of a romance, kind of a contemporary. Oh my god, my light's flickering. Do you mind? We're just gonna have to ignore it, I think. So yeah, kind of a romance, kind of a contemporary. It is a woman who has a dream where she sees this man in her apartment, but it's not her apartment and it's not her man, and it's 5 years in the future, and something goes down between them. She wakes up back in her actual apartment with her actual fiance, and she can't work out how this is going to happen in the future, why the dream was so vivid, felt so real. And we follow her life as she works up to this date 5 years in the future. I really did like it. I didn't see it coming the way that it did. I was really baffled most of the way through. I thought it was a lovely little book. And yeah, I might have to buy myself another copy. We then have Inner Holidays by Christina Lauren. Again, 4 stars. This one didn't blow me away, but I did like it. So this is another Christmas romance. We're following a girl who goes away to her like family friends Christmas vacation that they do every year. And then while she's on the way home, she gets involved in a car accident. The car accident then completely resets her in a Groundhog Day style situation where she starts the family vacation again from day 1. She has always had a crush on a long-time family friend and hasn't known what to do about it. So she takes this opportunity to say, well, the gods want me to try and crack on in this relationship, so that's what I'm gonna do. I thought it was really cute. It definitely, again, wasn't the best thing I've ever read, but I did enjoy it. I wanted to know like how it was going to happen, and I actually read it in about a total of 2.5 hours. So yeah, I definitely ate that one up too. Only 2 books left now. The final 4-star review went to Flawless by Elsie Silver. This was the Patreon buddy read this month, and I did enjoy it. This is book 1 of the what's it actually called? Chestnut something? I said that with such confidence and I can't remember what the series is called. I'll put it on the screen because I don't know. This is about a bull rider, and he makes some slightly weird decisions while in the public eye, and his PR manager says, you need to stop doing this. I am going to assign you a babysitter who happens to be my daughter to keep you in check. And the daughter happened to have a crush on the bull rider when she was a bit younger because he's a little bit older than her. Smutty goodness. I really did like this. I can't wait to read the rest of the series though, because the actual synopses of the others sound way more up my alley, whereas this, the only thing that really got me was bull riding and the country playlist in the back, which has one of my favourite country songs of all time. So would definitely recommend this book. I am very excited to read the rest of the series and will be sure to do so soon so I can give you my opinion. And finally, the 5-star read of December was actually a reread, and it was The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I listened to the audiobook of this while I was away and just getting bits and bobs done around Cole's house. We wanted to watch the movie of The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and I decided I wanted to at least reread The Hunger Games before we did that, just so I could pick up on any Easter eggs that might be dropped. It turns out there were a lot, including down to the name Katniss, and I just thought they were great to see. I loved this book when I read it last in like 2020. I think I've only read it 3 times in my life, and I think it went 3-star, 5-star, and it's stuck at a 5-star. However much we can trash talk how popular The Hunger Games got, it is definitely just such an exciting book. It's like so good in the YA dystopian genre. Would thoroughly recommend it if you've never read it. If you've never got into that genre, then The Hunger Games is an amazing place to start. I now want to reread, probably through audio, at least Catching Fire and Mockingjay before reading The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, because I do want to know how the book differs from the movie. But yeah, would thoroughly recommend rereading The Hunger Games if you've been considering it. So there we have it. Those are all 20 books that I read in December. Let me know if you have any opinions on these books. I'd love to chat to you about them down in the comments. But for now, that is all I have time for. So thank you very, very much for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.